Hello, welcome to the channel. This is my first video on here. It's a time-lapse recording of my design process from start to finish. So this asset in particular is a repair station as part of a bigger concept, which is the pit stop idea, where you would drive through one way and out the other. It would be like a heavily defended area in the game. The game itself is a car combat game with vehicles that are relatively small, kind of like micro machines, and twisted metal, kind of a mix of the two. So the faction in particular right now is kind of like a cybernetic rodent faction. So I'm thinking like over the top, big shapes and like lightning coils over the top concepts. Like right there you've got like a rail and magnets that would lift the car up, and I had this idea that maybe the rails have these little half robot rodent men that can zoom through and heal your vehicle in some kind of cool animation, and lightning as well, because that's fun. I'm just looking at different shapes at the moment, so I've got triangles, circles, squares, rectangles, and I think this is kind of the more fun idea, because if you're going through one way through a drive, you kind of want a clear indication of the direction, right? So an arrow is clear which way you're supposed to be driving. And then I thought maybe the magnets could be folded up within the floor, and it would be a really fun animation for your car to stop in the middle, magnets come out and lift the car up, some kind of mini cutscene every time you drive through, kind of like when you heal your Pokemon in Pokemon. And right now it's just a more detailed version of this triangle. So again, the rails are around the outside of the triangle, which means that these little rodent mechanic guys can zoom through in some fun way and heal your vehicle. I'm thinking maybe they have like little robotic limbs and such, like little tools for hands. But yeah, I'm just exploring with different shapes and adding some weathering to the thing itself. So right there I've just added the frame around the outside of the triangle. This is kind of like a frame for the lightning coils, which I had the idea for earlier. I'm kind of combining all three of these ideas I have. And right there I thought, what if, considering this is a robotic rodent faction, what if the fuel is kind of stored in what looks like a hamster water dispenser? I thought that'd be quite fun. I'm just trying to figure out the best shape and height for this frame, because the vehicles need to go through, and the current vehicle we have, which I can show at the end of the video, which is, it's kind of like a medium vehicle, so I don't want to make this too small and not be able to fit the larger vehicles we have later down the line. So now I'm adding the fuel dispenser back in. It makes for a better silhouette if it's on the exterior, and plus it doesn't block the trapdoor which the magnet will rise up out of. I'm just adding some more frame to make it more secure, so it looks more sturdy and bulky. Since I'm trying to sell the scale of these characters being rodents, making large bolts and things really sells the fact that they've scrambled together these different bits of metal and scrap. And right now I'm connecting this fuel to a larger fuel, which is kind of like a barbecue propane fuel tank, which would be really large for these rodents. I'm just adding bits of extra shapes and see what looks right, and adding some scraps of armor on it and some weathering. I thought I'd add a little bit of asymmetry, and adding some armor pieces is a nice easy way of doing that. And I'm adding the car for scale right now. Just like a little rough sketch of the car. The idea for the car, which is quite fun, is coming back to the idea of hamsters and rodents. Is it was like a hamster ball, like it's converted a hamster ball into some kind of cool vehicle. I'm doing a little block in so I can easily do the paint over and get the shapes. And right now I'm just adding the different colours to differentiate the functions of the different pieces, like the rail, the lightning, the magnets. I would usually spend more time thumbnailing, but I feel like I was quite happy with this design, so I separated it and began some call-out sketches for the magnets and the little docking sections. I'm just trying to figure out the mechanics behind these magnets. I want them to look kind of scrappy, but I feel like it takes me quite a while to get to that concept. I get too bogged down with the detail and I start ignoring the bigger shapes. So at this point, I'm just like fiddling around. Now that I'm happy with the mechanics, I'm just trying to figure out what the actual magnet, the face of the magnet would look like, which takes me quite a while to get to some form of idea. Later on, I kind of go with like a circuit board idea, but right there it's just a couple of wires that hang around like strips. So I decided to add the wire strips so they connect lower, making it a little bit easier for the thing to fold up and down and look nicer while doing it. Because I think loose wires would get kind of tangled up in the mechanisms. Right here I'm just doing a little call out on the rear magnet that would fold up behind your car. Okay, so I'm doing the last few bits of the callouts, and then I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I've rendered the rest of the pit stop in 3D, and now I am drawing over the top, adding different pieces of armor and metal and weathering, different textures. So this is going to be the basis for all the other callouts later down the line. So these are going to be like initial sketches for the different pieces. As you can see, I went with kind of a horseshoe shape. The bit I'm drawing in right now is an attachment for like a trailer that would be able to, you know, maneuver the whole thing around, which would be kind of cool to have it in more than one level on more than one environment. They got the crane at the top there, which is a cool feature, and there's a little box there, kind of like a little control booth, just above the repair station there. That propane tank on the back is the one that's connected to the repair station as well, which could, in theory, fuel different, you know, vehicles and such. The fronts of the gates are kind of like bear traps. They open up and down like on some kind of winch system, which I thought would be kind of fun to have a hamster wheel. I don't know if you can see that in the center of the screen there. A hamster wheel to move the thing up and down when an allied car gets close enough. And this screen here would be able to tell you when to go and when to stop, which would be a good indicator for the player and where they would go and where they would stop. So I'm just filling in the gun and the crane right now with the electromagnet and like a kind of a rail system where the crane can go backwards and forwards. I'm not sure how functional this crane would actually be in game, or it would just be a cool animation and cool feature. But it could be controlled via the little control booth at the bottom there. But the gun had the idea that it's like a lightning cannon kind of thing, with the same idea I had earlier with the repair station. It's kind of like exposed circuitry and like loose wires that hang down, and the wires also connect from there's a battery pack just out of sight, which I'm going to do a call out on, which is connected to the gun itself. This is the front section gates, which I have a cool idea. Maybe it looks like kind of a rodent skull. And now this is the screen that's overlooking the repair station itself. This is kind of just a one-off call out for the side of it. I think I want to do another call out showing the actual, you know, circuitry and shape of the screen itself, and the way the mechanisms on the arm work, if it's necessary. I'm not really sure that it is. I wanted it to look really messy with exposed wires, kind of like the ship in the Matrix. So we're going to jump ahead again. I've just added a blurred image on top, and I'm just painting at the moment just kind of random colours to get some contrast going and figure out the right brush for the job. I kind of keep it loose at this point. As you can see on the left of the screen, I've added a top-down view of the whole thing, just to get a nice idea of the location, like the geography of the piece. I wanted a nice bright red contrast with the propane tank. I thought that'd be quite cool. Now, something I'm quite conscious of with this is making the metal varied and not just one shade of, you know, metal brown or steel. So I went with like kind of a more green hue and a blue hue and a brown. I'm not sure how well it turns out, but I guess you guys tell me. Another thing I'm thinking about is how the metal, I don't really want it to look too new and shiny. I want it to look weathered, worn, secondhand, scavenged, you know, to really sell the fact that these guys, you know, are making the most of all the scrap that's around them, and also it looks more interesting visually. Alright, that's going to be about it for this one. I don't want to have these videos going on for too long. This is part 1 of 2. But yeah, thank you for sticking around this long, and I'll see you in the next one.